Oh, that's right.
Yeah, probably will. Hey, Brad. Oh, another one of these firings.
You got guess you got your top story for Sports View now, huh?
I guess so. Well, that and the volleyball going to the tournament.
Well, as it turned out,
Zach, you want to turn on the? You want to turn on the receiver? Can you hear anything? Here. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Got it.
told right
Check, check. Is this mic working? Hey, Todd. Does anybody need a mic check? We all good? Check, check. 1 2 3. Testing. You good, Danny? Okay. Set? Yep, check. 1 2 3. Testing, testing. Shane, we're good? Okay. Okay, we're ready to begin. Thank you, everyone, for coming to today's press conference. This is to discuss Saluki football. Tommy Bell will be making an opening statement, and then he'll take your questions. We would just prefer questions from our members of the media, but anything's fair game, so let us have it. And at this point, I'll just turn it over to Tommy, and go ahead with an opening statement, and then we'll take your questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everybody, for coming out today. Appreciate you being here. As we all know that we made a pretty big decision yesterday, so I've got some information for everyone that we can share. So I know there's a lot of devices up here, so hopefully I don't disrupt them. So first and foremost, as we get things moving here is we just want to thank Dale Lennon for the great work that he did for our program and what he did for our institution. He led with integrity, and he actually put together, his academic excellence, speaks for itself and what he did with the program. So we appreciate everything he did for us, and then he led our program with great integrity. Just a couple factors on the dismissal of Coach Lennon. We basically, this institution's made a great investment in the development of football in facilities and everything that we've put together. And I looked at the track record and what's been going on, just felt like it was in the best interest of our student athletes and our university to make a change at this time. Expectation of our program. We want to compete for the Missouri Valley Conference Football Championship, which means that puts us in a situation when we're in that competitive market, that puts us in the ability to compete for the national championship. And we play in the toughest FCS football conference in the country. It's documented, and year after year, we continue to prove that. And it's proven by our schedule and the competition that you see that goes on each and every year in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. So what I'd like to share with you now is this is going to be a quick search. Our goal is to have this done before Christmas. As you most know, that we won't do we're not going to do a traditional posting on this position. We're going to get after it and get done because this is what's beneficial for our student athletes. We cannot afford to miss on the recruiting cycle that is so important in the development of football. I'm going to have an advisory committee that's going to be assisting me in the search, and I'm going to name those individuals that are going to help us right now. One of those individuals is with us today. First off, Dr. Harold Bordeaux. We've asked him to serve, and he is graciously accepted, and we're very excited. Mr. Greg Cook, local business owner and philanthropist to our institution, will be helped. Dr. Julie Partridge, our faculty athletic representative, will assist. Joel Sambursky of our board of trustees and former Saluki great will be here. And special advisor to this committee that will help us will be Mr. Jerry Kill, formerly the head coach of the University of Minnesota. So we're very excited about what they're going to be doing. Nick Hill has been appointed the interim head coach at this time to oversee our football program on its day-to-day operation until our search process is over. So at this point, I'm ready to take any questions that you might like to ask.
Is Nick in charge of getting in touch with committed recruits and shoring that up?
Yes, and they're doing that. He has total oversight as the acting interim coach, but as Dave Elson is our recruiting coordinator, and so we have pulled our coaches off the recruiting trail right now. We've called them all in because it makes for awkward situations for them to be recruiting, and we know that the majority of student athletes make their decisions based on the personalities and the coaches that are going to be coaching them. So we've pulled them out. They're developing a strategy, and they'll be handling that through the week and what we're going to be getting done.
So can we assume then that they won't be recruiting until a head person is named in a month? Or?
We'll have a plan. We're vetting that out each and every day. I met with the coaches at 1:30. We had that discussion. There's some plans coming, and if we need to, we're making contacts. We have 11 verbal commitments on that list, and so we're working very closely with those 11 right now. We're very fortunate because we have 85 returning student athletes, so that is a really large returning group of young men, so there's not a need for a big recruiting class. So we know with time, if we get a head coach, once we get a head coach named, then they can quickly be brought up to speed if those are the type of individuals they want to get there. And it also notifies those students that are very interested in SIU, that gives them, if they have options, it doesn't leave them in a lurch as well.
You met with the players yesterday. How did the players react to the news?
We spoke to the players. We talked about their welfare, and we had, when I opened the floor for questions, there were no questions and there were no comments.
And then can you talk a little bit about what went into the decision to make Nick the interim coach?
I looked at all our different coaches, and I think familiarity, because I knew him as a student athlete and knew some of the things that have been going on, knew his successes recruiting, some of the energy he brings to the table.
Will Nick be a candidate for the permanent job?
That will be up for him, but we're going to be open for all people that are interested in the position. My phone is literally blowing up. It's actually going off as I speak right now. So they're calling. I think every offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator in Division I football right now have my cell number. It must be floating out there in the Twitter sphere somewhere. So I'm taking a lot of phone calls. We've had over 40 inquiries in less than 24 hours.
What are some of the big things you'll be looking for in hiring a new coach?
The two key things that we're looking for, first and foremost, the right fit for SIU and familiarity with the Southern Illinois region, and then most importantly, familiarity with the Missouri Valley Football Conference.
Tommy, can you go into what was the last straw for deciding if Lennon was gonna stay or go?
I think on that was, it's really hard because the biggest effect you have there, it's not only just Coach Lennon. We have 10 other families that are tied to this program, people that are working hard to make this program better each and every day. And, and so you want to take that over. But I sat back and just looked and said, it's time for a change.
Was it wins or losses? Was it apathy with the program? What was it?
I think it was just wanting to make sure that we create and we send a message that we have a standard of excellence here at SIU. That we're not going to accept, not making it. We've gone 6 years without being in the playoffs, and that's where we've been. And as people describe, the people that don't work at SIU that are in FCS football, and they get a load of what's here, they just shake their head and said, "There's no excuse." I mean, that's information I gathered a couple of years ago that people will tell you, facility-wise and what we have to offer. I mean, there are schools in the Mid-American Conference wish they had what SIU has. So we have great facilities here. We have the things we need to be successful. We're fully funded in scholarships. We have a good salary base. We have a good head coaching salary. And that's what's making this job very interesting to a lot of people. People know that this institution has made investments for us to have success.
Tommy, you've spoken in the past about how vital basketball is to the success of SIU athletics, but going forward, how vital will football be?
Football is very vital. It doesn't generate the income that a basketball does for us, but it still generates income. But it also serves the university in many facets. It becomes on those given Saturdays, it creates an open door opportunity for people to come and enjoy our campus on many different fronts. And so that's why success in football can help us, because it just engages the people of Southern Illinois, it engages our alumni, and it engages our supporters. There's just a lot more layers to it. So, and they both can coexist at the same time, because that's been proven here before.
Do you expect any of the players to have an involvement or say at all or opinion in the next coach that gets hired, or will you be meeting with them about that?
I'm always open to talk to our student athletes, but they will have no decision in this.
When did you make this decision, Tom? Was it yesterday or was it last week?
I informed Dale yesterday at 1 o'clock. There were some processes in it, but I had labored over it for a while.
Was it your decision solely, or were other people involved?
The university administration is totally behind me, but they were with my decision.
What played in the role to announce a decision yesterday and then kind of talk about it today? Kind of puts it over 2 days.
A little bit of timing. We also had some breakdowns on, I wanted some key staff to be with us here to make sure that we managed it properly in the right way. We're coming off a holiday break. We needed to get some things done. We need to get the initial shock and awe out of the way, but then also have an opportunity for the media to ask questions and gather thoughts and put things together.
You said you're kind of open to internal candidates. If you weren't happy with the direction of the program, why include internal candidates that are part of this?
You've just as a standard operating procedure, you always got to provide open access. When you get into HR issues and those things, you've got to have that. That's why the advisory committee is going to be very helpful in how we vet this out.
When do you expect to meet with the advisory committee?
Well, I've talked to each one of them individually. Hope to pull them together as soon as I can, maybe by Friday, so that we can have a little bit of a game plan and have some thoughts. But I know that we'll be up and running full speed ahead. I'm taking the brunt of the information right now, the contacts, the calls, the emails. I'm taking most of that so that I can have a list, put those things together, and let them go through things. And having some really frank conversations with people that might send an email and they were the head coach of the Pop Warner team, and they feel like they can come in here and coach this football program. When I can share with people that maybe he's been a 4 or 5 year football coach and, not been a coordinator and maybe not been, never had a leadership position, you kind of just say, here's where we are, this is the type of process we're gonna have. I feel like at this time, we appreciate your interest, but you're probably not ready for us at this time. And they understand.
How important is it to being a head coach at the Division I level to you?
Not necessarily. I think we've proven here before that we've had 2 successful coaches hired here that were really successful at the Division II level. And, we just want to make sure that, coaching's coaching, and it's about the individual and the fit.
Will the new head coach have freedom of decision as far as what offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators he may bring in, or are they set?
That decision is always going to be up. The assistant coaches serve at the pleasure of the head coach. And that's how I operate.
Would you consider hiring somebody who has a coordinator experience,
Absolutely.
but not a head coach, is what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. Yeah, because that's what you see. You see a lot of movement, the tradition, and you see a lot of movement through everybody. You see a lot of coordinators that become head coaches and move that way. So,
I'm a little lost as to how coaches apply. Now, you say you get phone calls, do they give you a resume, send you a resume and say, I want to apply, and then somebody in the committee looks through all of them, or all the applications, or how's that procedure go?
I'm vetting it out for my committee. I'm vetting it all out, because I can find the ones that, if there are 2 or 3. We've had 2 or 3, I will not use their names, and I will not mention anybody's name from this podium, but we have had 2 very successful FCS head coaches that have contacted this institution about this job at this time, that are very successful. And so I'm vetting that out. I mean, there's things you got to talk to with people too, and say, what's your salary requirements? That lays the game out pretty quick with people. Like, oh, okay. Well, I'm not interested in taking a cut. Okay? Because coordinators at the FBS level make extraordinary money, especially in the Power 5. And so those are a couple things that are there. So, yes.
Do you expect the next coach, do you want to keep the salary about the same that what Dale was making?
We will look at different opportunities. It just depends on the candidate and what we have. One of the things that they do in the Missouri Valley football is they have the assistant coaches pool, and then they have the head coach's salary. They rank them each year. They have a grid. We have all that. We work from that, and that what we've seen is how you stack up in some of those areas has a direct effect on how you retain your staff. It's about retaining staff for a period of time. It's not about, winning it just for 1 year. It's about, having a staff that can stay with you for a number of years, and then, can they make a living? Can it be successful? Those kinds of things. So
How long is the next contract going to be for?
that depends on as we talk to our coach, what we think fits the landscape of the institution at the time. We know from an HR standpoint that the landscape changes from day to day depending on what's going on in the media and then from the political arena that's going on in our state.
You've heard Bob Nielsen being name dropped. Is he one of the candidates that you've been considering?
I will not discuss any candidates at this time. I just have an affiliation with Coach Nielsen, having been at Western Illinois University prior. I did not hire Coach Nielsen at Western Illinois University. He was hired 4 or 5 months before I became the athletic director at that point.
Is this your first football hire, Tom?
This would be my first football hire.
Do you believe it's the appeal of the conference that are drawing these successful coaches that you're claiming to a 3-8 team?
Yeah, not to be curt and funny, but there's a lot of people out of work right now. It was Black Monday in college football yesterday, in the last couple of days. So a lot of people out of work. I only meant that in jest. I think the Valley is a draw, but I also think that most importantly, Southern Illinois University and what we have here is the draw, because people know. People that I've known in the industry, they go through here and they go, oh my stars. I had no idea what Southern has built and what they've put together. I said, oh yeah, we got it going on from a facility standpoint.
What's going to be some of the expectations for the new coach? Do you see a playoff
Well, we won't put those, we don't put those standards in place. We look at what they have and say, okay, here's the year, can we make changes? And then a lot of times a new coach can come in and take, we had a young team. We got some talent on this program, and a coach can come in first year and they can tweak something and then they can have success. Plus also, the injury bug. If you're not bitten by the injury bug, and at FCS, we know that is a key component. When a couple key people can get injured, it can really stress your program pretty quick because the depth is a lot different.
Did that, when you were making your decision, just the amount of injuries the Salukis had this year, did that complicate your decision or make it a lot more difficult?
That complicated a little bit, and we looked at it, and then, but at the end of the day, we have to do what's best for the institution.
How much does the state budget hurt your salary negotiations, Tommy, with not having a budget, not only for this year, but not for next year either?
None whatsoever, because we're fortunate enough here that none of our coaches' salaries are covered by state appropriated dollars in our athletic department. That's a good thing. Where other state schools, they're paying their coaches with appropriated money from the state of Illinois. Not here. We're very fortunate. That's because how they've built this over the last number of years. Now, with appropriations, anytime budget issues go on with the university, there could be some hindrance, but I don't see any hindrance at this point. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Or I
You're not-
thoroughly confuse you with it.
Well, I mean, you're not saying this, the athletic department here is not totally self-sustaining.
No, we're not self-sustaining, but we have different income streams, and how we fund things are a little bit differently, where at the previous institution I was at, $1.9 million in appropriated dollars, and all their football coaches and their AD and everybody's in that salary line. That's a concerning point to have. And I only use it as comparison because I know those numbers there pretty well.
You mentioned the Christmas timeline to have somebody in here. Do you have a number of finalists in mind as far as, group number-wise that you'd like? And then how quickly would you like to get the finalists on campus?
Every AD has a short list, and so we'll vet through those pretty quick, and then we'll have some conversations and find out what their availabilities are, and then we'll work to get them here. Sometimes you don't need to bring them to campus. Sometimes you can go and meet them somewhere else and make a decision, depending on their familiarity with the institution.
Just to be clear, will you make the final decision?
I will make the
Who's
final
gonna be
decision.
hired? It's not gonna be a committee vote?
The committee they're an advisory committee.
Tommy, did you have a short list before this situation occurred Sunday, or has
Yes.
it changed since the calls?
You always have a short list. You always have a short list. You have to, especially with a number of sports. And you have to have that short list for a number of things. Sudden illness, sudden trauma, sudden situation. You just have to have some familiarity of which way you're going to go and know how quick you're going to move.
Can you tell us anything about what your fit is, Tommy? Do you like defensive guys more than offensive guys for football coaches?
I have no fit. I want the best fit for Southern Illinois University. I want somebody that's going to create some synergy, and it's a good fit, and people that can rally around and recruit student athletes so we can be very competitive. So we fill these parking lots like we did the first game of the year last year, and every time we play football here on Saturdays, it's an event in Southern Illinois. And that takes time, and those things can happen.
You said you've been inundated already with applicants or people with interest. I would assume you've gotten some feedback from the general public just about this decision, and if so, could you share what feedback you've gotten?
I've got everybody from people's agents contacting me about further clients, people directly emailing me for the position, former alumni that are in the coaching profession that have their lifelong dream to come back to SIU that sent me information. And then from a public standpoint, I've gotten calls here and there. I've got former student athletes in this sport that have called, but we're not going to pay attention to any campaigning at this time for anyone. We just take their name, get their pertinent information, get it prepared so that I can vet out names, because I think our special assistant's pretty cool. I think he can really help us vet names out pretty fast. Anything else?
And can you tell us anything about the schedule for next year? Have you signed an FBS opponent for next season?
Yes, we're playing at Florida Atlantic next year. So we're playing there. We're opening there. I think it's Labor Day weekend. We're at Florida Atlantic.
Can you tell us what the bonus is?
What bonus? You mean the guarantee?
Yes.
The guarantee is $390,000.
Does that include the airfare?
No. No, I wish. I wish. No, but it's $390,000. So we're Florida. Then we have a full schedule, and that's exciting. You know, SEMO is here, Murray State's here. So we're gonna have 6 home games next year. So very exciting.
Tommy, Coach Lennon didn't have anything really to do with ticket sales or, you know, possibly donations. How much did apathy, perceived apathy by some in the program go into your decision to change gears and bring somebody new in here? Was that a factor?
Zero. You know, it is what it is. Our scheduling this year, you know, we went down and, you know, on record, you know, we have the lowest attendance since they've built the stadium, but it was a perfect storm. It rains on homecoming, and you're playing on Halloween. You know, and you got 8 high school playoff games that day of Halloween when you got too much going on. And, you know, and a majority of our fans, we have a really good walk-up crowd, and they look outside and go, oh, it looks pretty. Let's go to the game today. You know, and so when you're in that situation, you have to depend on that. So, but we'll put strategies together to get people excited once we know our direction, who's going to be our leader, and we'll put new and energized approaches to get people buying season tickets and mini packs and those things. So we want people to come out. Our chancellor wants people on this campus having a great time and experiencing our university. That's what Chancellor Caldwell has shared with me in my first meeting with him. He wants people to come and have a great experience on our campus, and we can make that happen.
Have any of the current players expressed interest in transferring at this time?
I went through a list of they're going to be doing their end of year evaluations. There are a few student athletes that have indicated, some coaches, through not from depth chart, not being able to play as much as they like. There may be a few transfers here and there, but the only things that were shared with me is possibly some that want to get to Division II so that they have a better opportunity to maybe get some playing time in their college career.
Did you get the sense that a lot of them will see who you hire before they make a decision like that?
Coaches, we didn't have any discussion about that. Once they have their end of the year meetings with coaches, then Coach Hill and the other staff, they'll sit down with me and they'll share any of that detail that we need to cover at that time. At this time, we don't know of any. Okay.
How donors responded to the
Well, between our donors and supporters and people that has been overwhelmingly positive. It's been surprisingly positive. I haven't got any hate mail or hate emails or crazy tweets or anything like that, but it has been positive. And so people understand that, you know, we made a business decision. This was a business decision, and this is the part of the business that we have as an institution. And so we made a business decision. We didn't make a personality decision. We made a business decision. And so people accept that, and they see that. And they expect that from me as a director to set that bar.
Where did the money come from to buy out the contract with them?
It's we've had some dollars already planned. It's in our budget. There'll be no state appropriated dollars used for the contractual obligation side, but that HR details are being hammered out over the next week with Coach.
When did you start contacting people for the advisory committee?
About 1:30 yesterday afternoon. Had kind of had a couple of names, kind of had jotted a couple of notes down here and there, but then started making some calls after I had met with Coach Lennon.
Would you consider this the hardest decision you've had to make since taking this job?
I've made some tough decisions, and there's been some sleepless nights, and yeah, this was a tough decision. You know, we affected 10 families, and I didn't take this decision lightly. I have someone that I trust heavily in this department that talked to me and said, why wait? I was like, well, it's a lot more to worry about. And, you know, a lot of people with families, you know, because SIU's always prided itself on being a family environment, and that's what they have. And so that's the things that you have to, you really got to pay attention to it.
Are you anticipating coaches meeting with Lemon?
That'll be up to the next head coach. I anticipate all the assistant coaches will interview with the next head coach, and then that head coach will decide what will happen. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and go Salukis.